I don't know how much you caught, but essentially high wits, professions, and martial high and wizard went for the fighter mage sort of character.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So briefly, what sort of well, let's see, with a high martial character, what land are they from?
Spur.
Spur. So that means that they probably are good with a couple of distinctive weapons and stuff from there.
Yeah, chain mace and a couple of things.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Can't complain about that one. So what I see is um, okay. What I see is that far from home, and possibly cut off or separated from friends, that your character is in the forests of Famberga and possibly even in the danger spot for a given venture, which means that you've been separated from your companions and are in this, aggravating, trackless, and, probably, very dangerous forest. Um, and it's all marshy too. So it's wet, boggy, and,
Yeah.
trees growing out of knee deep water, things like that. So the question that I have is, first of all, does your character have any You can use any spell, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually fairly significant, given that you're in that situation. I mean, is there a spell that you're interested in casting? Because let's say you failed your wits roll to orient and are, oh, well, let's go ahead and do that. You have one whole die because this is not your scene. And you're out there in the woods and you get a wits roll, but you only have one die to do it with. So go ahead and see whether you can figure out. Maybe you've ridden through this area before and now you're trying to orient a little bit.
So the roll is one die plus my wits score. Yeah, so that'd be a total of 12.
Oh, so you made the 12. Okay, so
high wits.
That is good because that means that you're not trapped in the and lost, in the trackless wood. That you managed to look around and say, all right, I do remember that spot. I hate this, but I can work my way through here, right? I'm going to try and struggle my way through this situation. Hope my companions are okay because they're off there. We put our armor on for some reason. It was probably a bad reason. Probably something bad. So hope they're okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you are. You're trying to find your way back. You can either find your way to your friends, or you can find your way to where back to the community where you're staying. With all that magic, you've got plenty of room to decide what to do.
Yeah. I imagine Circle Knight would probably want to, if he's armed and armored, he'd probably want to find his circle again to finish whatever business they had.
Right.
Okay. Is my understanding. I don't know if I could certainly think of a lot of things to do with all these spells to do that. For instance, I could summon. I could use Beast One to summon a small bird to begin searching for them and lead me in a positive direction, or things like that. Find food or water for myself if it's going to be some time.
Well, there's all kinds. Oh, so is that what you want to do? Is to get a beast or bird
Yeah.
to help you out? Which is fine.
Yeah, let's do that.
Perfectly reasonable thing to do. And so that's
Oh,
going to. There's no roll involved, and you would cast a white, one white point, or one brawn, and then lose one brawn, and then you would mark yourself with one white point. All of this is great. This white bird appears and, it says it obeys your commands, and you say something along the lines of, take me to, my buddies or something like that.
Yeah.
And I could be kind of nasty and say, well, it doesn't know where they are. But you did orient, right? As far as I'm concerned, you have oriented. It's over there. It's just getting through hill and dale and stuff like that's a big pain in the ass, and you probably are going to get lost again if you try. So the bird will guide you. So far, so good, right? And all that would be fine, except, of course, with all of the other rolls and the nastiness of coincidence and everything else working against you, the very things that you guys were tracking and that you hoped that your companions had found and were fighting have instead located you. And one basically just rises straight up out of the water of a bog that you're traversing next to. And the other, it must be around here somewhere because you know there are two.
Gotcha.
Apparently, there are, in an unusual circumstance, there are two male spider hags who have been causing multiple problems due to the activities of their now mate. And I don't know. I mean, you can make up all kinds of interesting things that the female spider hag actually had been killed, but that doesn't change the male spider hag's attitudes, toward their former lovers. And although you're probably not one of those, but you do, you guys have all been targeted by these fellows, due to the events of place. So basically, one thin male humanoid figure rises up out of the bog with his spider arms arching behind him. And as you would be foolish not to think that the other one must be around here somewhere. So the first concern is to just get a lock on where you are. I think there's significant tree cover. It's autumn, so a lot of the trees have lost their branches, but not all of them. Not branches, their leaves. The ground is uneven, and some of it's wet and sandy, some of it's more solid, if a little bit soggy forest floor. And these things live here. They know this area very, very well. And that's where we're at. So the first thing to consider, if we're going to go into combat, is just basically what is everybody pretty much, moving into. What are the what are the circumstances here? I'm making a little circle. You should do the same, right? Draw an actual circle or get a coaster out. Something. I should have brought down a coaster. They work perfectly. In the proper place. Make a little tick at 3 o'clock. What is your character's quickness?
6.
You are not as fast as they are. And
I feared that might be good.
And so they are basically ahead of you in the order. So we've got one of them and another one and then you. And so the one has, arisen out of the bog and is basically, threatening at you with his spider arms reaching over his back and around his side, probably leaning forward and kind of crouching, about to jump away. And so that's what's up.
Cool. And so I should give my intent?
Well, yes, and also, I should pause here to see if you want to spend a brawn on top of the one you've already spent in order to jump to the front of the line.
And if I cast another spell in this combat, that'll be another brawn?
Depends on how much brawn it's worth, but yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So you can spend brawn for spells, and you can spend brawn to jump to the front of the order.
I think I'm going to try to fight defensively now and save my brawn for some spellcasting.
Okay, so the first one is going to let's see. Yeah, the first one is actually not going to lunge forward and attack very well. Actually, no, he is going to move forward and attack, just reaching out with the arms, staying in the water. So he's not actually like leaping out of the water. His crouch was more for stability so that his arms could dart out at you in a in a distracting or grasping way. So far so good.
Yep. And then so I figure out my commitment.
Yes, and I will do the
I've been
same.
pulled in.
So remember, you don't split your quickness. You actually have your full quickness on both
Right.
Offense and defense. So
Right.
in that case, which is a mistake people make a lot. So
Yeah.
as you might imagine, guess who has the advantage?
Yeah. I thought that might be the case.
So here it comes. I roll my dice.
Oh, boxcars.
Well, he doesn't do much better, tell you the truth.
No, not Snake Eyes, boxcars. I roll double sixes.
Oh my God, really? Well, he rolls
Yeah.
quite badly. I roll a 5 on 3 dice.
Well, I committed fully to defense, so that's 24 for me.
Okay, so by committing fully to defense, that
No
means
attack.
that your attack isn't going to go in on him,
Yeah.
right? But his
I'm
attack
outnumbered. I'm just trying to tail out.
his attack is extremely poor against your defense. Now, what actually was your character doing defensively specifically?
I imagine he's drawn his kite shield out and he barely gets it in between himself in time.
Right. So basically, it's the whole behind my shield kind of thing, and moving the shield to keep it from being grabbed, and trying to, to basically keep these arms off you, which is great, and definitely puts you in that, in this this position in a combat with that same creature, which, by the way, is now going to bump to the back of the order. But since you defended successfully, you are going to maintain your position in the order. You're not going to dump back to the back with him. So therefore, I'll talk more about my tactics in a minute. But at that point is the time when the one in the trees basically drops on you.
Okay.
So the hope was to kind of like, the hope was a lot of things, but it was only partly successful. So this attack dropping on you, though, is also still at advantage. And so what is your split for, or rather, do your commitment for that, which is very different. Very different on its part, by the way. So here we go.
Okay. I rolled phenomenally again.
That's ridiculous. I rolled a 6 on 3 dice this time.
I rolled an 11, a 12, and then an 11.
I rolled a 5 and then a 6. That's just appalling. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's see where I got.
Apparently, I should stop doing full defense because I'm rolling phenomenally. But
right. So let's see. So with 6 points, I've got an offense of 18.
Oh, I think you still hit me then because I'm only at 23. Or do you mean not plus the dice? Do you mean total?
Right. Correct.
Okay, then yeah, I'm sorry. I'm at 23 total.
Okay, so basically it tries to drop on you, and also since you have no attack coming at it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that's probably an evasion, right? You probably, either you simply hear it coming. Remember, there's no roll for perception in Circle of Hands. This is how we know your successful defense lets us know that you heard it coming. So, now we know you heard it coming, you hear the branches snap or whatever, and you're like, first you're like, cool, I'm behind my shield. And then you're like, shit, that's where the other one is. And basically just like wheel away out of wherever you were standing, period.
Cool.
Right. Wherever it was, that's where you don't want to be. So, and sure enough, it lands right where you were, and all of it lands, and since it was hoping to strike with its limbs, basically its spider limbs hit, and then having you not being there, then its human legs touch the ground, right? So and as it clearly was aiming at you, even with might even complete the bite that it was planning on delivering.